What's up, guys? Skippy Africanus here, and welcome back to another Cartridge of the Week episode. This week featuring something that's actually rather common, the 22 Winchester Magnum Rimfire, or 22 Magnum, or any of these other names. Honestly, I've always called this stuff 22 Magnum, so that's what I'll stick with in this video. Now, this cartridge, while common, actually has a fairly neat history and design to it that I myself was actually kind of surprised with. I just assumed this was going to be, it's a common cartridge, so sometimes when you read certain things about them, it's just, I don't know, to me I find it pretty neat. However, before we get into all that, we will first do what we always do and take a look at the head stamp, which just features a C in the middle, meaning that it was manufactured by Cascade Cartridge Inc., or CCI for short. Now, for once, I also have the box, which is a little worse for wear. Yeah, this has been kind of sitting outside, exposed to the elements by my reload bench for like, I don't know, a couple years at this point. And funny enough, while I've been known to, buy boxes of ammo that I don't intend to shoot, just for mere collection purposes, this one's actually from my dad, who, it was either him or my uncle. They found a small revolver in a park, and my dad was the one who ended up holding on to it. And, of course, getting a box of ammo for it, of course. He kind of realized, though, that maybe keeping a random gun found in a park in a not-so-good neighborhood, mind you, was probably not the best idea, and it was eventually given to the police. From memory, though, it was one of these, but honestly, I was super young when he had it, so I know it was a tiny revolver, so it was probably one of those. Anyways, that's a funny little history with that specific box of ammo. Now let's go into the history of the actual 22 Magnum itself. The 22 Magnum was introduced in 1959. However, it has its roots with the much older 22 Winchester rimfire that came out in 1890. And Winchester would essentially take that cartridge and lengthen it, giving it much more powder volume to, of course, allow for a more potent cartridge. Winchester would not be the first ones to make a firearm for this cartridge, however, as it wouldn't be till around 1960 when they would release their Model 61 slide rifle in the new chambering. The first to make a firearm for this rifle would actually be Marlin with their Lever-Matic. Now, companies like Smith & Wesson and Ruger would also start making revolvers for the cartridge, as well as Savage with a 22 Magnum option for their Model 24 combination gun. And over the years, there would of course be many other guns chambered for the cartridge, with one of my personal favorites being the Marlin Model 25 MG, or what it was marketed as, the Garden Gun. This fairly normal looking bolt action actually featured a smoothbore barrel and was made solely to take the snake shot variation of the cartridge. Now, much like many other cartridges, the 22 Magnum would also have many different Wildcats made from it, with one in particular being of notable interest as it was seen by the Swedish as being a potential war caliber, which, had it passed, trials and all that, would have been for the main infantry use. And this cartridge is the 4.5 by 26 millimeter MKR, which, though I don't have one currently, and to be quite honest, looking at that cartridge, I don't know that I'll be able to get my hands on one. I think it definitely deserves a future video because just look at this thing. This thing's neat. So now, we mentioned earlier that the 22 Magnum was really just a lengthened 22 Winchester rimfire, which to me at least was surprising, as I'd always assumed that it was a lengthened version of the much more common 22 LR. However, both the 22 Magnum and LR look similar enough, so surely you could shoot 22 LR in a 22 Magnum chambered gun, right? Well, surprisingly enough, the answer is a strong no. Now, 22 LR will chamber and fire in a 22 Magnum gun. However, the casing is just a tad bit smaller, not only in length, but also in diameter, meaning that it won't sit perfectly straight in the chamber, resulting in bullets striking the chamber throat, as well as the casings either swelling or splitting. Now, interestingly enough, cartridge dimensions are not the only big difference between the Magnum and the LR, with one very big difference being in the construction of the bullet itself. The 22 Winchester Magnum, much like the 22 Winchester rimfire, uses a bullet we're much more accustomed to, with the flat base and all that. However, the 22 LR uses what's called a heeled bullet, where the top actually sits over the case and the bottom of the bullet is necked down. Of course, there is also another big difference between the 22 LR and the Magnum, and that is the Magnum's much hotter performance. On average, you're looking at a 3250 grain bullet flying anywhere from 1,530 feet per second for the heavier bullets and all the way up to 2,300 feet per second for the lighter bullets. Now, the 22 Magnum also uses a 224 diameter bullet, meaning that there are, of course, many other options for wildcatters. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for this week's Cartridge of the Week episode featuring the 22 Winchester Magnum rimfire. I hope y'all enjoyed the video as much as I personally enjoyed making it, and I will see y'all next time.